want to say I recognize three people, Robin, Bridget, and Brandon sitting there at that table next to our third speaker. They are the lifeblood of Beaux-Arts Council, and they put all the hours and sweat and sometimes tears into making these events possible. So I just want to say thank you guys again publicly for all the work you guys do. Our next speaker is Mike McSwain. He's a Shreveport-based architect, but you can find his work around the world, quite literally. In fact, he spoke at our very first DigiFest 4 years ago about his work in China. Today, he's talking a little bit about stuff more local. So I just want to introduce architect Mike McSwain.
Thanks, Clint. Appreciate it. All right. Well, I'm feeling inferior. I'm behind a fighter pilot, but ahead of a rocket scientist. And I'm just a dumb architect that draws pictures for a living. So I don't have any videos. I really got nothing. No, I'm kidding. Clint asked me and the Beaux-Arts Council if I would speak to creativity and technology and how they shape our society. That was the harder ask. The easier ask was, could I present what we're doing in Beaux-Arts City downtown? So the other part's easy, but how creativity and technology shaped our society is where I'll start. But before I do that, I'm going to introduce myself. I'm Mike McSwain. I'm nothing but a big, goofy kid. I draw pictures for a living. I like to wear a red tracksuit. I come from circus people, which is true. My grandpa ran away with the circus on my grandma. We didn't find out till he died. I like to travel, ride a Vespa, and I like to make art. And I'm a local architect. So I grew up in Houston, about a half mile from the Astrodome. So I'm a big city kid. I've been here about 22 years, and I love it here. I still go to Houston and get my big city fix, but I do like it here. As Clint said, we're doing work all over the world. So a lot in China and the Pacific Rim, a little bit in Europe, and of course, right here in the US, and in particular Louisiana, and in particular Beaux-Arts City. So, how has creativity and technology shaped our societies through history? And I'm going to relate it to kind of planning, because that's what I want to talk about anyway. What I was going to tell you about was these things that change society over time. So, in 3500 BC, I envision that there's a potter and he's got a square board and it keeps hitting his knee, and they say, if this thing was round, this would be great, and thus the wheel was invented. And then the wheel gave us the ability to move further out from our civilization center, where we could venture out with goods and all this, which certainly helped shape society. I think the invention of soap right around the 1300s led us to believe that, golly, now that we smell good, we ought to hang out together, and thus the Renaissance was born. And then after that, I think the big one, planning-wise, was the first industrial revolution, the automobile, and how that really let us get mobile and got us out of the city center and into suburban sprawl, and we really spread out, and our developments became really car-centric. I'm not saying it's a good thing. I mean, it is great to travel the world, and we have that independence. But we did lose some connectivity with our fellow man by being so far apart. Even our front porch of our house being as far away as that wall to the next front porch, I'm not talking to them. Just like if I was right here and y'all were on the next front porch, I could say, hey, come over and grab a beer. I can't even say that to them over there. So, and then today, what's really shaping us, in my opinion, is the computer revolution and the internet, basically. We're all so connected, and what it's let us do is we can work literally anywhere in the world, from anywhere in the world, and we can access information from anywhere in the world at any time, all the time. When I was growing up, the encyclopedia set was the sole source of all the good information, and that's what we did all our reports on. I'm sure teachers probably hated it that all our reports look the same. But I really think that's what's helping to influence us today. And what I'd say is it's influencing, it's gone on a wave. So the immediate accessibility of information or connection to each other, I think the first generation was we're all head down and we're right here in our phone and we're chatting, we're texting, and we're whatever. We kind of got isolated from that. But I think it's kind of changed since then, that we've gone past that evolution of the neatness of this little device to now what's really important to me is not being connected to you through this, but having a real connection with you so that we can have good quality time together. And I think that's what's fundamentally is happening today is we're going past the cycle of the novelty of this technology. It's great, it's changing the world, but we're also reminded that people are at the center of our society, really. And it's really good to have good quality time with good quality people, like all y'all. So that's a much more challenging piece, in my opinion. But you asked, and that's what I've got. So there it is. I would say, by the way, the toilet paper was invented in 500 BC or so. Surely changed the world. We like to be cleaner these days. So. Oh, there's the slide I was looking for. Yeah, computers, phones, telegraph, cranes, all this kind of stuff help. Every step of those changed society along the way. So anyway, what I'm more comfortable talking about is what we do for a living. So we started a project last October with the city of Bossier City and some of their leaderships here tonight. And it's a re-envisioning of downtown. And that re-envisioning is titled that for a reason, which was it's been envisioned several times in the past, but nothing ever materialized from those. So we're taking a chance again to dream and dream of what we could do downtown. And you might be asking, I didn't know Bossier had a downtown. It does, and it's even a designated district. So this is where we start. We have a section of town that's bordered by Traffic Street on the right there, I-20 across the top, Barksdale Boulevard cutting through the middle, and Hamilton Road on the far end, and then there's a railroad track we don't see. It's about a 20-something block area of town that's the downtown study area for us. And this diagram really shows the kind of, this is what happened in every city across the world over the last 100 years or so. So we start with the black dot there. That's where downtown Bossier City is. That's where historically cities started, was in their city center. And then as the advancement came, we grew out of that. And we've gotten, really you can see with Bossier, it's kind of a unique map because you're bounded by the river on one side. Barksdale Air Force Base kind of squeezes it and pinches it close to the river. And then really the most growth is set for the north part of town, and it's been growing steadily out that direction. But really what we're seeing is, and this, you're not unique, Bossier's not unique, this is happening everywhere in the world, is people are migrating back to these urban decayed town centers. That's what we have. And we're trying to change that today. And kudos to the city leadership for having the kind of chutzpah to pull this off and be brave and go where they've tried to go in the past, but they're really doing it this time. So, and we did a lot of research with a lot of different people. So I'm older, I'm not a millennial. We really talked to a lot of young people and got some wisdom from them of what they're looking for. And I'll back up just a second, because where this downtown project stemmed from was when the CSC bed down in our community. We were site selected down to Bossier City or Lincoln, Nebraska. When they chose Bossier, the city leaders asked them what was so appealing about Lincoln, and they said, Lincoln had this great Haymarket district and the revitalized downtown and all that stuff. So they started looking and said, maybe we can do that here and we can get these guys some of what they were looking for in Lincoln. And so we did extensive interviews with all the young kids. So folks from Moonbot, CSC, Cohab, Twin Engines. I have a son that's 20 and I have a daughter that's 17. They, of course, know it all. So I got some good feedback from everybody. This is really what we heard from them is, we're looking for this a walkable community with mixed uses, a nice streetscape, healthy lifestyle, public plazas, and public arts. And I say this in addition to what I said earlier, that what everybody's kind of looking for today is good quality time with people I want to spend time with, doing things that I get to choose and influence of doing. All this is kind of boils down what we heard from them. So I just got some random shots of some different styles of this. So nice streetscapes that are pedestrian friendly, parallel parking, convenient parking, but an amenity zone that's dedicated to the pedestrian. And this is at a bigger scale in Barcelona, but a very nice pedestrian-oriented kind of downtown, if you will. Nice landscaping, on-street parking, and tables and chairs for the folks to sit at. And I've got this one in because this is the Country Club Plaza in Kansas City. The plaza was created about 100 years ago by a developer that had just got back from Spain. Of course, he wanted to replicate that there. He did, but what's important about it is those buildings being 100 years old, this has withstood the test of time. So back then, cars were a novelty and there were still some other modes of transportation, but it's weathered all of the different changes through time. It still stands up as one of the best planning jobs in the world. And we heard these people love bikes. So bikes were a big deal, and I mean a big deal. Everybody said bikes are important. We should have dedicated bike lanes. We heard you. And then kind of some of the programming of plaza activities and street fairs and musicians and farmers markets and that kind of stuff. We heard that they like, and that y'all like, healthy foods, more organic type foods, and independent type foods. But then if you're like me, you know, you like the junk food too, and you like the great, greasy kind of food truck food. And then we heard a lot about an active lifestyle and healthy living and all that. And then part of this one is about the street fair and the street scene. And one of the desires was to be able to have a retail street that we could close down and do street fairs and things, kind of like the Revel used to do. I got here just in time when the Revel was still on Clyde Fant. So I think they're looking at, and other communities do this quite well, where they can close off their roads. And then the art fair, you can imagine all the possibilities of a closed down street fair. And then public art is a big deal. And of course, Bossier Arts Council is right in the middle of this development. So what do we do for downtown Bossier? So our idea there is to center our activities around a new plaza that we'll build. So the good thing with what we have, the slate we're starting with, is we don't have a courthouse. We don't have the town center, which is great because that town center closes at 5 o'clock Monday through Friday, and then it's empty the rest of the time. So we don't have that, but what our center is going to be is a plaza, and our development radiates from a common plaza. And something in scale, like the image I just showed, or this one, 4-story buildings around a plaza. There's a dot in the middle there where it says 5, and then there were radiating circles out of that on this image. I don't know where they are. But that number 5 is our town plaza, where the 2 asterisks are end to end is Barksdale Boulevard, and then the pink in the middle is our higher density kind of core. So 4 to 5-story mixed-use buildings in the middle, flanking a community plaza. And then number 17 on there is the Arts Council, 16's the new Flying Heart Brewery, and 24 is L'Italiano. Those we know are good staples for the start of this. And we radiated out from there from a very dense core to getting increasingly less dense. So like row house product around the core, and then going to single family lots from there. So essentially this is a land use diagram showing the pink being mixed use, the red being our commercial corridor down Barksdale and capitalizing on what's already there. And then the yellow is residential lots of varying densities. And one thing that was important from the city leaders was to really how can we use what's already there? So rather than saying, hey, we'll go and level every building that's in there and we start from scratch, that's what architects want to do, that's what developers want to do. In this case, we don't want to do that. We really want to work around what's already there, especially the known winners. But we think that makes for a richer design experience in the end, that we have this eclectic mix of old and new. And we think that's going to be pretty powerful once this comes to life. And that image, all the black there, is all the existing stock that's in this downtown core. And we got some neat old buildings that have a lot of character, obviously need some upgrades, but they got good bones, which is going to be important as this moves on. And then we have this image just to show, there's a little building here in the middle, which is what we'd see as our older buildings, the existing buildings that are there, and then flanking it with the new buildings around it. But we think it's going to make a rich experience and design using both. All right, so we put all that together. That's kind of what it looks like at the end of that. The little ball of light in the middle is the plaza. Flanking it is the mixed use. And you can see it again in the daytime there. That's kind of built up with this dense core, the big plaza, Barksdale, and then getting less and less dense from the town core. So that's the full dream once we get there. So how do we get there? So what the city's charged us with is, all right, let's get to getting started on this and implementing it. And what we've done is we've taken, the first steps are very mundane, it's nothing to get real excited about. Although I think we do like when we flush the toilet, for it to go away, right? So it's expensive stuff, but it's very important stuff that we tackle this now. And there's an image across the top there that shows a line from, I'll describe it to you because it's not there clearly. Barksdale Boulevard all down the middle, and then a 4-block area off of it, right across from the Arts Council and L'Italiano. That's kind of the core of the development. I see it there, kind of. Let me see if I got I got my own little pointer thing. So this is Barksdale Boulevard, and part of the initial charge is to redo Barksdale Boulevard with overlay on the street. We're going to rip out the old sewer line, the old water line, and put in new sewer and water lines for the capacity that we need, plus it all needs to be upgraded. And then do new streetscape, bike lanes, landscaping, and all that stuff. And then right there where the red dot is really the kind of more vertical build that we'll be doing, which will include a new plaza space, a new mixed-use apartment building with retail on the bottom, L'Italiano intact, the Firehouse, Flying Heart Brewery intact, the Arts Council, of course. But you will be able to see what the ultimate vision looks like when we get in that town core. So the side streets off of that are also getting redone so we can see kind of what the ultimate dream is going to look like from the initial phases. Oh, there's one of the diagrams I was describing. So this is the plan of roadways. When the far end is Traffic Street, to this end is Hamilton Street, and we redo all of Barksdale Boulevard, and then those other streets coming off of Barksdale. And just so you can see a little closer up, this is right at the intersection. Kind of on the bottom right is the Flying Heart Brewery. Bottom left will be the Arts Council, and L'Italiano in the top right. It's that intersection. And this is what we're proposing to redo in that intersection, is to put on-street parking, so parallel parking, which exists today. And we're going to take a lane out and create a dedicated bike lane for directions both ways and a protected curb and landscaping so that the bikes are not just, hey, a door could swing out and hit my bike. It's, you got your own zone to ride in, very safe, and follows the current trends. And then the typical street section, you can see the zone where the bicyclists will be. And then this is looking at, what does this first phase look like once we get it done? So it includes Barksdale Boulevard getting redone, and then this 4-block area getting built up with the mixed-use buildings. Plus, there's a couple of other infill buildings that folks have bought the properties, and they're doing renovations to get to be in this downtown spot as well. And this is kind of what it looks like from sitting at the bar at Flying Heart, looking across the street. That's L'Italiano on the right, the new plaza. The Jumbotron is on the side of the new mixed-use apartment building with retail. Incubator on your left, and then to the left of that is the Hoot and Holler Archery, and then of course Barksdale Boulevard gets redone. And that's kind of an aerial of the phase 1 build, so you can kind of see the impact it's going to have. Quite a bit different from what we can see today if you go over there. So dream big. Nobody dreams of making it to the middle, and we should dream really big. And then I'll see you there. And you'll find me there in my red tracksuit doing selfies. I'm going to recreate this once it's available to be built. So that's what I got. Hope that suited the bill for you, Clint.